Okay, so this is the December 6th, 2011 meeting that I come back. This time I've tracked the water myself with the maps. I'm a little bit stumbly, but a lot stronger than I was in the last meeting. And you'll see during the break time, all of a sudden Slocum brings out all these withheld maps for City Council to show all the water that he sent into SEAVIEW Terrace. And I was not allowed to see those maps. Then later on, HURLEY slaughters me on public TV, endangering me. Nothing like getting the town against me. And then as it progresses in January 4th, they give me an agenda, January 4th of 2012, and they bring in the city attorney, Bill Kelly, to speak for them, which was another sandbag meeting. He reveals this engineer's report that was also withheld from me, specifically on my house by the original owner, Dr. Caswell, when he started getting flooding in the 70s. And it turns out that the engineer found that the stream is private property, merely a private property drainage ditch. He states it right there on that report, yet the city is still running around saying that it's a stream, even though their engineer stated it is a private property drainage ditch. And then Bill Kelly, just when I go to question him, he basically shuts up and runs out of the meeting. And City Council votes to take no further action. And then I keep coming back to the meetings, and they start the intimidation tactics, calling me in as a threat to the chief of police. They start bringing police into the meetings to escort me out. And what else? More letters from the city attorney where he has gone to speak to my neighbors and has them on the city hall side and alienating me and speaking against me. It just goes on and on. But let's get to this right now.
Diane Allmeyer, Belfast. I have two things. First, I wanted to mention the Troy Howard School 8th grade trip. Usually they get district money of $15,000 to help fund the Kiev.
I'm going to fast forward past
this. That is not
this.
coming forward this year.
Trying to get funds for the middle school.
A handful of the council and planning board have turned a blind. And now we go back to Disgraceland. After 8 months, I offer the following to the public for swift action before it's too late. Number 1. I need to get my water ready, excuse me.
Is this going to be a long presentation on this here?
No, I'll be pretty quick. I know what I need to say here. I do have my public time to speak. I'll get through it. The immediate need for an ordinance review committee since Wayne Marshall has been city planner. Wayne's rules seem to override state law and recommendations, and for my short time here, less than 2 years have destroyed my life without concern. I understand that past, present, and future ordinances will crush residents even further. 2 examples of Maine state laws to somewhat protect residents in this very lax law state is a state decibel daytime noise level of 60. Wayne's rule is 75. A DEP rule, degraded, sensitive, or threatened regions or watersheds. These areas include the watersheds of surfaces that A, have been degraded or are susceptible to degradation of water quality or fisheries because of the cumulative effect of past or reasonably foreseeable levels of development activity within the watershed of the affected surfaces. B, are not classified as watersheds of bodies most at risk. Also, per my attorney, a new law for site construction to site dispose of stormwater. Wayne's rules, dump it in the stream. 2, serious consideration as to why the council and planning board have turned a blind eye to the destruction of SEAVIEW Terrace despite my 1,000-watt spotlight. It has been over a 20-year period that they continue approvals to flood us. The outright removal of public documents that would prove the flooding and support for the erosion. I purposely made a surprise visit to City Hall last Thursday. There on the table were the 1965 original plans for Seaview Terrace, showing that the stream was approved by the city to be moved back, destroying the tree line support system and digging a new ditch for the stream without any stabilization whatsoever. So much for a natural stream. It's been rerouted in the 70s, too, per a viable resident of Seaview Terrace. Heard by Bob Whiteley. For 8 months, that has been Joe Slocum's and Marshall's argument, throwing every conceivable roadblock in my way, including publicly discrediting me on TV. After Slocum's site inspection at my stream, where he claims to be a 5-year expert at viewing stormwater in streams, his conclusion were that it is a 100-year natural stream. City has done nothing to add or alter the stormwater in the stream, some erosion, but nothing nearly as serious as I have made it out to be. And I love this one. Due to the high level of my anxiety and frustration, he may not be able to meet my expectations. Then trying to break my bank by trying to intimidate me with the charges that could easily go over $1,000 to get stormwater information that I did alone within 4 hours, mapped with pictures. Anyone could see at a minimum that the stream was man-enhanced. The boulders are all on the top of the back embankment. Joe saw it, he knew it, he lied. So much more on his corruption in writing, not enough time tonight. In May, I asked Wayne Marshall for the history of Seaview Terrace. He buried me with words of beliefs and opinions and hid the original plans. This was at the time I also requested the map off of the planning office wall where Wayne traced with his fingers all the stormwater coming to Seaview Terrace. Next, that map went missing, and testimonies from Slocum and Marshall that it never existed. Marshall discrediting me on TV, telling the public he gave me outstanding service. Council and mayor repeatedly made aware of the abuse but did nothing, allowing me to get beat up for 8 months. Wayne unwilling to produce one stormwater map. Wayne unwilling to answer my questions I had about stormwater issues directly on Seaview Terrace in writing. He said, my only option was to meet in the street with him and Bob Richards. No thanks. I passed on that abuse. Then Wayne and Todd refused to help me, per Joe Slocum, and he is out of town for 2 weeks. So much more corruption there, too. Not enough time tonight. How much time over this past 8 months have city employees been paid to knowingly or unknowingly participate in this cover-up? I have files full of emails, excuse after excuse, burying the obvious with trash. How much did we pay them to swamp Seaview Terrace and cover it up? It's been 20 years in the making. Joe Slocum's current salary is $90,400. Wayne Marshall's current salary is $72,333. The annex in the 90s was that when it began being built. That was the beginning of our basements taking in water, costing us thousands in cleanup and sump pumps, with nowhere to drain because the city refuses to provide stormwater drainage for Seaview Terrace. Immediate action is required for the following. Stabilize the banks at 17 Seaview Terrace. Aggressively reroute all stormwater from forced diversions per my map to city-maintained stormwater channels, away from the city-swamped, fragile flood zone of Seaview Terrace. Correct all stormwater drainage on Seaview Terrace. Reimbursement for attorney consultations for me, materials and labor that is currently in temporarily stabilizing what little banks I have left. Review and report on detailed mapped full stormwater drainage plan for the annex. It must include specific location of exit and where the stormwater is coming from. Include any surrounding areas that pass through the annex. The planning officials, against constant resident protests from the 1990s till present of stormwater runoff, is ignorant and callous to taxpaying residents. Sadly, this is only a fragment of the dysfunction and lies from key people abusing us in local government. Per the previous owner of my home, the basement began taking in serious water at the beginning of the annex construction. Residents submitted complaints but were ignored. Right now, with the expansion of the new annex, also approved to drain into the stream, I have been advised that there are new laws for new constructions must drain on site. Our planning office has approved draining into the stream. I see a sewer drainage cover at the base of the parking lot that may drain down to the park. Why to the stream? No one will comment on the undisclosed hidden stormwater channel that had become visible last month and is adding to severe erosion on my property. The planning officials have blatantly ignored to view my property, even though it was slated for a site visit on May 25th at the May 11th Planning Board meeting. On Monday, November 28th, from the resistance of the city to revise the stormwater drainage in SEAVIEW Terrace, I armed myself with the knowledge what Wayne had given me from that infamous non-existing map on the city planning wall, found the channels. From 8 a.m. until noon, I trudged slowly up and down both sides of Route 1 from Route 52 to the bypass. Then from the Captain Albert Stevens School, zigzagging to and fro all the way down to SEAVIEW Terrace, through swamps and brush, snapping pictures all the way. I accomplished in 4 hours what the city has refused to do over the past 8 months. Marshall himself, Mr. Mapmaker, running upstairs to blow up that pointless stream when he saw me at the meeting on the November 1st meeting, sporting a new map at every new meeting, a new plan. Couldn't get a map out here. At that same meeting, Joe Slocum further trying to discredit me by saying he walked with me up to the office and viewed the map that is on the wall right now. Lie. I never visited with Joe at City Hall. Joe saying that the map never existed, they would never remove a map. Lie. Last Friday, December 2nd, after learning that I made up my own map, the manager's office gave me plan after plan on the many sites constructed. Very haphazardly done. Guess Wayne couldn't master making an easy-to-identify map from the plans. Bob Whiteley, the tax assessor, was impressed with mine, as crude as it is. After my show and tell session with Bob and Nancy in the tax office on November 29th, we had some rain into the morning of November 30th. Bob agreed to visit and photograph the culverts. Since he couldn't meet until 11:30 and I had an appointment at 2 p.m., we weren't able to visit Captain Albert down to Congress Street culverts. I asked him to invite Joe, Wayne, anyone that would like to participate and also bring his camera. No one else came, and the camera was broken. A pity that after all these months reaching out to council, planning board, planning, city manager, to name a few, no one has taken it upon themselves to coordinate a stormwater committee. I fear that Bob or Nancy will get thrown under the bus because time after time I have watched Joe and Wayne deflect accountability through excuses, smoke screens, and scapegoats. Bob noted the pictures taken on November 28th show significant flow to SEAVIEW Terrace from above SEAVIEW Terrace. The last precipitation was the snow from November 23rd, where the next day temperatures for the rest of the week through November 28th were downright balmy, hitting 60 degrees and then some. Nights were warm too. We took comparison pictures, but ever conscious of Wayne and Joe trying to discredit me, I asked Bob to be part of the pictures. That limited my ability to zone in on the increase of water. I like Bob and Nancy. They were both respectful and upset by the city abuse inflicted on me, yet tried to support the city as best they could. We spent a lot of time together without conflict. I became emotional at their kindness, having been bullied by other officials for the past 8 months and counting. This dysfunctional fragmentation of this local government is a serious threat to all residents. Rather than dedicating themselves as a unified, accountable, responsible team to serve the taxpayers, I see separate agendas, many personal, vying for economic development, trampling over residents. I have been the hot potato being tossed to planning, planning board, city council, city manager, DEP, DOT, ETC. This has made for such a mess of lies and confusion that I cut out the major offenders. I was going to go through some of the more disturbing emails from Joe, where he is now on record as being unreliable for any information, as well as Wayne Marshall. Clearly shot to hell with the stream being moved. I could go through the unanswered first, second, third, fourth requests to council this month for 3 items of information, but I am so sick of all this, and it stops today. Bob and I began at SEAVIEW Terrace on November 30th at 11:30 a.m. Bob was clearly concerned with the water in the stream, estimated it to be about a foot of water, the mini lake at Beck's, the accumulating and draining stormwater from the Woofords to the stream. Bob was alarmed to learn that 2 years ago the stream came up over Merrill's yard, across SEAVIEW Terrace and into Hand's yard. Alarmed when Rebecca Gibbon, a confirmed viable source, told of the same occurrence, where the huge culvert wasn't large enough to handle the volume and poured out and down to Becky's, wiping out landscaping and almost taking her car, flooding it instead. Becky had told this to Wayne and wrote the information down for him at the street sham on August 26, 2011. I told Joe Slocum at his sham visit, and he even commented that it could have knocked her house off the foundation. Becky also told Bob and I that she moved here in 1975. The neighbor of 45 Seaview Terrace, Miss Richelieu, bragged many times about how she was able to get the city to reroute the stream off her property prior to Becky moving here. The next day, December 1st, I made a surprise visit to the tax assessor's office. Spread out were the I've never seen before, Plan Book 6, page 23, original 1965 plans for the housing development of Seaview Terrace. The stream that the city has been fighting me for the past 8 months was approved by the city and moved. Today it would be running right through my house. They pushed it back, took out the support system, tree line clearly visible. It did not stabilize my banks. They just piled the rocks on the opposing embankments. 50-year-old single mom, solely freezing and soaking wet, painstakingly excavated as much as I could with a crowbar and shovel for more than 100 hours to my caving-in banks. Bob said it was a really good job, better than most he has seen. In light of this stream relocation, everything Joe and Wayne have been using against me is trash. Also, this lie keeps reappearing with claiming it was approximately 8 years ago that the city did stormwater ditch digging on private property at Seaview Terrace to allow for flow to the stream from the accumulating stormwater on opposite properties. I submitted proof to the council on November 13, 2011, proving it was done within the past 3 years. However, according to the latest letter approved by council from Jenica, dated December 2nd, the city is lying and saying 8 years. Having had to expend more money for another attorney consultation because of the corrupt, deceiving officials, I learned that they are doing that to avoid liability. Maine has a statute of 7 years. That accumulated resident stormwater being forced channeled to another resident is against the law. I requested to see the work order. There were backhoes and trucks there. Bob Richards said they don't have work orders. He must look through daily worksheets. Oh, please. No work orders.
Where are you going with this, Mr.?
I'm down on my last sentence here. That you're flooding me. You're swamping Seaview Terrace and you're telling me you're not. I'd also like it noted that although Jenica was chosen to be the contact against my objections, I know she is only the messenger for Joe Slocum. I have asked to go on agenda so this would be in a meeting to take care of this, so I don't have to come up here broadcasting my personal life on the TV. I was denied an agenda for city council as well as the planning board. I emailed all you guys asking you for help, assistance, not one response. Here I am. I'm almost done. So I made my own map here of all the water coming down Seaview Terrace. We start up here at the Captain Albert Stevens School, and I don't know if any of you have seen the stormwater holding tank there. I estimated, I'm not sure, 200 feet by 100 feet, big huge cage, culverts, all the red circles are culverts. The blue lines are water coming down to Congress Street, through the Birches, double culverts here at White Street, bringing the water across over to Tall Pines, picking up more water along there, going down through Mid-Coast Mental Health, picking up more water there, bringing it all the way down along the side into Seaview Terrace, wiping out my backyard. Clearly, here's the city park down here. Couldn't get a route going down there. Nope, bring it to my stream. Then you have, along this ditch, water coming down from the Volunteers of America's building to a culvert that crosses over Route 1 to the National Guard. In that ditch, water's draining from all around National Guard as well as from Larrabee's. There's culverts there to bring it down Route 1 south. Praise Taylor Park is here. Homes for sale, I mean. Praise Trailer Homes and the trailer park. The path goes down along there, picking up more stormwater from the trailer park. God knows what channels back there. Picking up more stormwater and coming down to this culvert here. And this culvert here, which crosses back over Route 1 and into Seaview Terrace. And then down Seaview Terrace and into the park. And here at the bypass is city-maintained culverts, but that only takes a little bit of water from over there, and they're able to maintain that because that's city property. The city does nothing about this because it's being dumped onto private property, and they have no business in it. They don't care. So, That's a lot of water. All those blue arrows are all water coming down. This whole section coming all the way down to that little tiny stream that was moved, that has no stabilization. And there you go. Are we going to keep...
That stream was moved in the backyard.
Yes. That's what the plans show. 1965, the original plans. You want to see it? I brought the plans. They're right there. Bob Whiteley saw it. He could vouch for it. They moved the stream back. Took down the whole line of trees. And that's where the water's running through, and there is no stabilization there. You could easily see that that was a man-enhanced stream. And all along, all I've been hearing, it's natural stream, natural runoff, active Mother Nature. We're not doing anything to affect your property. And it's nothing farther from the truth. And it's taken me 8 months to get there, and you knew that stream was moved. You used to play in there.
That's right. I played in there, and to my knowledge, that stream's right where it was. It was the last 60 years. Wow. But we're not here to debate you tonight.
Well, there is no debating. It's facts. Look at the plans. I gave you everything except that map because I couldn't get enough copies. And on top of that, anytime I did ask for copies, Joe was going to start charging me for every hour, research, whatever, even though this has been going on for 8 months. Regardless of my health and what this has put me through in this community. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Later on, Joe brings out all the maps. I wanted to, oh, see this guy sitting right here? This is JB, the Front Street Shipyard. He was just proposing to build the Front Street Shipyard then, and they're like bending over backwards, giving him the royal treatment, and kicking me in the ass the whole past 4 years. It's just outrageous.